If you are over 60 and your doctor just told you your eye exam looks fine, nothing more to do except come back next year. You need to hear something before your next appointment. A study published in JAMA Ophthalmology tracked over 4,000 adults aged 55 and older for a decade. By the time their vision loss became measurable on a standard eye chart, the underlying cellular damage in their retinas had already been progressing silently for years. The chart missed it. Nobody told them what was happening until the window for early support had narrowed considerably. Here's what the standard eye exam is not designed to catch: the slow erosion of your macular pigment, the microscopic failures in retinal circulation happening every night when your eyes should be repairing themselves but cannot because they are missing specific raw materials that have to arrive during sleep or they do not arrive at all. In the next 15 minutes, I am going to show you exactly which 8 foods research identifies as most powerful for overnight eye repair, how to prepare and time each one so your body actually absorbs what is inside them, and why most people eating these foods are getting almost none of their protective potential. Because of preparation mistakes, almost nobody catches. I have spent years reviewing the clinical research on nutritional approaches to vision preservation. What I am sharing today is the honest summary of that work. Before we go further, drop a comment right now with just your age and the word night if you have noticed your vision is worse in low light than it used to be. I want to see who is watching, because the foods I am about to describe matter differently depending on whether your concern is macular protection, dry eye, or night vision decline. And if you have ever woken up in the morning and needed 20 or 30 minutes before your eyes felt fully functional, add the word morning to your comment. That symptom tells me something specific about what your retina needs most urgently. Here is a scene that plays out in eye clinics every day. A 71-year-old retired teacher walks in for her annual exam. She has been taking a lutein supplement for 3 years because she read it was good for her eyes. Her optometrist checks her vision, writes an updated prescription, and tells her everything looks stable. She leaves feeling reassured. What nobody checks is whether her macular pigment optical density is declining, whether her tear film is breaking down each night, whether the lutein she swallows every morning is even reaching her retinal tissue, or passing through unabsorbed because of one dietary mistake she makes without knowing. 2 years later, text is harder to focus on. Colors seem slightly flatter. Night driving makes her anxious in a way it never did before. By then, the window for early stage support has narrowed considerably. Research on macular carotenoid absorption, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, has been consistent on this for over a decade. The form of the nutrient, the timing of consumption, and the presence or absence of dietary fat at the moment of eating determine whether these compounds reach retinal tissue or not at all. That information exists in the scientific literature. It is not reaching people sitting in 12-minute appointments. That gap is exactly why this video exists. Now, if you value understanding the why behind the recommendations, not just being told what to eat, what I'm about to explain will give you a completely different framework. 3 changes matter most after 60. First, macular pigment depletion. The macula is protected by a layer of carotenoid pigment, primarily lutein and zeaxanthin, that acts like internal sunscreen against damaging blue light. After 60, this layer thins at an accelerating rate. Think of it like the protective coating on a camera lens wearing away. The lens still works, but becomes increasingly vulnerable to damage that would not have touched it before. Second, nighttime repair capacity declines. Your retina does its most intensive cellular maintenance during deep sleep, recycling damaged photoreceptors, clearing inflammatory byproducts. This repair depends entirely on specific nutrients arriving at retinal tissue during those hours. As retinal circulation slows with age, getting these compounds to where they are needed becomes a genuine logistical challenge. Third, oxidative load increases precisely as antioxidant defenses thin. Every hour your retina processes light, it generates free radicals as a metabolic byproduct. In younger eyes, antioxidant networks neutralize these efficiently. After 60, free radical production increases and defenses weaken simultaneously. The accumulation is silent and continuous. These are not small differences. They are fundamental biological shifts that demand a completely different nutritional approach, and yet most dietary advice for eye health was written without adequately accounting for them. Number 8 is sweet potatoes, and this one opens the list because it builds the foundation. Everything else depends on you probably eat sweet potatoes occasionally, roasted with dinner, maybe microwave because it is quick. You feel good about it. It is a vegetable. What almost nobody considers is whether the preparation is actually delivering what the eyes need. Sweet potatoes are among the most concentrated dietary sources of beta-carotene available. Your body converts beta-carotene into retinal, the active form of vitamin A your retina uses to synthesize rhodopsin, the photosensitive protein your rod cells depend on to function in low light. Without adequate vitamin A, rod cell function deteriorates, deteriorates, night vision weakens, eyes take longer to adjust from bright to dim environments. Here is what most people miss. Beta-carotene is fat-soluble. Without fat present at the same meal, a large portion passes through your digestive system essentially unabsorbed. A study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that adding a small amount of fat to a beta-carotene-rich meal increased absorption by up to 6.5-fold compared to eating the same food without fat. 6.5 times more from one simple change. Be honest with yourself right now. When you eat sweet potatoes, are you eating them with a source of healthy fat at the same time? Comment yes or no below. That answer tells you whether you have been absorbing these nutrients at all. The fix: bake or steam one medium sweet potato, never microwave, about 90 minutes before bed, add a teaspoon of grass-fed butter, coconut oil, or olive oil. Leave the skin on. This single preparation change transforms a pleasant side dish into genuine overnight retinal fuel. The next food is something your retina is literally built from, and most people eating it are accidentally destroying it before it ever arrives. Number 7 is wild-caught salmon. Picture this. You pan fry salmon at high heat until well done, eat it at dinner, and consider it a healthy choice for your eyes. Millions of people do exactly this, and it is missing the mark in ways that matter enormously for the retina. Your retina is composed of roughly 60% DHA, a specific omega-3 fatty acid. Your photoreceptor cell membranes are literally built from DHA. When DHA levels in retinal tissue decline, membrane fluidity decreases, signal transmission slows, and the cells become more vulnerable to oxidative damage. Wild salmon is one of the densest preformed DHA sources available. Wild salmon also contains astaxanthin, a carotenoid that crosses the blood-retinal barrier with exceptional efficiency. A 2018 systematic review, published in Nutrients analyzing 11 clinical studies, found that astaxanthin supplementation significantly reduced oxidative stress markers in the eye and improved visual fatigue scores, with measurable changes appearing within 4 weeks. Farm salmon contains a fraction of this. Its astaxanthin is either minimal or synthetic. High heat destroys these delicate compounds. The fix is specific. Bake a wild-caught fillet at no more than 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. Season with turmeric and black pepper. Piperine and black pepper increases curcumin bioavailability by up to 20-fold. Eat approximately 2 hours before bed. Number 6 is goji berries. And this one targets the exact center of your vision, the part you use to read, recognize faces, and see fine detail. The macula depends on zeaxanthin for its structural protection more than any other compound. Zeaxanthin concentrates specifically in the fovea, the precise center of the macula where visual acuity is highest. Goji berries are the most concentrated whole food source of zeaxanthin identified in nutritional research. A randomized controlled trial published in Optometry and Vision Science in 2021 followed 150 healthy older adults aged 65 to 82 over 90 days. Those consuming a daily serving of dried goji berries showed a statistically significant increase in macular pigment optical density, a direct measure of macular protection, compared to placebo. The goji group showed no progression of early macular degeneration markers during the trial period, while the placebo group showed measurable progression. Macular pigment optical density is the most sensitive early indicator of macular vulnerability available, and most standard eye exams do not routinely measure it. Be completely honest right now. Do you eat goji berries or any antioxidant-rich berry alongside coffee or tea? Comment yes or no, because tannins in tea and coffee bind directly to zeaxanthin and significantly reduce absorption. That combination is one of the most common eye nutrition mistakes there is. The fix: soak 2 tablespoons of dried organic goji berries in warm water for 10 minutes before eating. Eat approximately 1 hour before bed. Pair with a small handful of raw almonds. Vitamin E in almonds works synergistically with zeaxanthin to stabilize photoreceptor cell membranes. Never combine with caffeine within 2 hours. Number 5 is organic egg yolks. And this one has been misunderstood for decades in a way that has cost people their vision. Many people have been eating egg whites only or avoiding yolks altogether for years due to cholesterol concerns. If vision health is your priority, the yolk is the entire point. The yolk contains virtually all of the eye protective compounds in an egg. Lutein and zeaxanthin in egg yolks are bound to fat, which is precisely why their bioavailability is dramatically higher than from plant sources. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that lutein absorption from egg yolk was approximately 3 times higher than from a spinach supplement containing an equal amount of lutein. The fat-bound delivery system in the yolk does the work that plant cell walls prevent. The cholesterol in egg yolk serves as a transport molecule carrying fat-soluble vitamins and carotenoids across the blood-retinal barrier into the photoreceptor cells that need them. It is not your enemy here. It is the delivery vehicle. High heat destroys it, Scrambling eggs over high heat oxidizes the cholesterol and degrades the carotenoids. Soft scrambled in butter over low heat or lightly poached preserves these compounds. 1 to 2 organic pasture-raised yolks in the early evening, prepared gently. Number 4 is bilberries. Most people have never bought them. The clinical evidence behind this food for night vision and macular protection is among the most compelling of any whole food studied for the eye. Bilberries are darker and smaller than blueberries, with a dramatically higher concentration of anthocyanins. In the eye, these compounds accelerate the regeneration of rhodopsin, the photosensitive protein in rod cells that allows your eyes to function in low light. Rhodopsin is bleached every time light hits your rod cells. In younger eyes, it regenerates quickly. After 60, this regeneration slows, precisely why moving from a bright room to a dim one takes noticeably longer, and why night driving becomes more effortful. A randomized placebo-controlled trial published in the European Journal of Nutrition followed 281 participants with age-related visual fatigue over 12 weeks. Those receiving bilberry extract showed significant improvement in dark adaptation speed and contrast sensitivity at low luminance compared to placebo, with measurable improvements after just 4 weeks. For longer-term macular protection, research published in Ophthalmology found that high dietary anthocyanin intake was associated with a 36% lower risk of progression from early to intermediate age-related macular degeneration over an 8-year follow-up period. The fix: frozen bilberries are widely available, and research confirms freezing does not degrade their anthocyanin content. Thaw half a cup, eat at room temperature in the evening, paired with a small handful of walnuts. Do not combine with high-dose vitamin C supplements at the same meal. Ascorbic acid at supplemental doses can interfere with anthocyanin stability in the gut. Number 3 is black currants, and this one addresses something most eye health discussions entirely overlook: the circulation side of vision loss. If your retina is not receiving adequate blood flow, no amount of lutein or zeaxanthin reaches the cells that need it. The retinal capillaries supplying your photoreceptors are among the smallest blood vessels in the body. When they constrict due to chronic inflammation or vascular stiffening, nutrient and oxygen delivery to your photoreceptors drops, even if every other aspect of your diet is correct. Black currants are the richest dietary source of cyanidin, 3-glucoside, and anthocyanin, with direct documented effects on retinal blood vessel dilation. A randomized placebo-controlled trial published in the Journal of Ocular Pharmacology and Therapeutics followed 38 patients with normal tension glaucoma over 24 months. Those receiving blackcurrant anthocyanin extract showed a statistically significant improvement in retinal blood flow velocity and a measurable slowing of visual field deterioration compared to placebo. That is actual measured blood flow to the optic nerve, not general antioxidant benefits. Blackcurrants also contain gamma-linolenic acid, a rare omega-6 fatty acid with anti-inflammatory properties that directly nourishes the meibomian glands in your eyelids. Inadequate meibomian function is the leading cause of evaporative dry eye, the most common eye complaint among adults over 65, raw or frozen, never cooked. About 1.5 cups in the evening with a small amount of healthy fat for absorption. If fresh or frozen are unavailable, standardized blackcurrant seed oil in capsule form provides the GLA component effectively. Number 2 is saffron, and this is where we move from protective to something the clinical research describes in a way I want you to hear directly. Most foods discussed so far slow deterioration and support the conditions for repair. Saffron's active compounds, crocin and quercetin, have shown in clinical trials the ability to support functional recovery of photoreceptor cells that have already sustained damage. A randomized controlled trial published in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science followed 25 patients with early age-related macular degeneration over 6 months. Participants receiving 20 milligrams of saffron extract daily showed a statistically significant improvement in focal electroretinogram responses, a direct electrical measure of photoreceptor cell function, compared to placebo. The researchers described it as a reversal of the trend of decline in cells that had been progressively losing function. A follow-up study by the same research group confirmed the findings in a larger cohort. Think of photoreceptor cells like solar panels accumulating microdamage over years. Most interventions prevent additional damage. Crocin and quercetin appear to help restore function to cells already operating below capacity. The preparation method determines whether any of this reaches your eyes. Saffron's active compounds are heat sensitive. Boiling destroys them. The correct method is steeping 15 to 20 saffron threads in warm, not boiling, whole milk or full-fat coconut milk for 15 minutes. Drink this approximately 1 hour before bed. The fat in the milk supports absorption of the fat-soluble fractions, and the warmth supports melatonin precursor synthesis, deepening the sleep during which your retina conducts its most intensive repair. Number 1 is raw cacao, not processed processed cocoa, not hot chocolate mix, raw, unroasted cacao, and the distinction is not cosmetic. It is the difference between a food with documented effects on retinal vasculature and a processed product with those compounds largely destroyed. Raw cacao contains one of the highest concentrations of flavonols, specifically epicacechin, of any food measured. These compounds stimulate the enzyme your blood vessel walls use to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes and dilates capillaries. For your retina, where the supplying capillaries are among the smallest blood vessels in the human body, this matters enormously. When retinal capillaries constrict due to chronic inflammation or vascular aging, nutrient and oxygen delivery to your photoreceptors drops significantly. Even if everything else in your diet is correct, a study published in JAMA Ophthalmology in 2018 measured retinal vessel function in healthy older adults before and after consuming high flavanol dark chocolate. 2 hours after consumption, retinal vessel dilation capacity improved by approximately 20% in response to a light stimulus. Compared to low flavanol controlled chocolate, this is a direct functional measurement of retinal vascular responsiveness. 20% improvement in the vessels feeding the cells that produce your vision. Commercial cocoa is typically Dutch processed alkalis, which destroys up to 90% of flavanol content. Raw cacao retains the full profile. Check the label. If it says processed with alkali, it is not the right product. The protocol: 2 tablespoons of raw cacao powder in warm cashew milk or full-fat oat milk, a pinch of cinnamon for blood sugar stabilization through the night, a small pinch of cayenne for peripheral circulation. Drink it 45 minutes before bed on a relatively empty stomach. The most evidence-supported vascular intervention for retinal health available in your own kitchen. Tonight, for less than $1, if you have been eating some of these foods for years without the preparation details I described, it is not your fault. Nobody explained that lutein without fat is largely unabsorbed. Nobody told you that bilberry anthocyanins and caffeine compete at the same absorption site. Nobody explained the difference between raw cacao and Dutch processed cocoa. You were doing what seemed reasonable with the information available to you. The human body has a capacity for recovery that continues to impress after years in this work. Macular pigment optical density can increase, measured in controlled trials. Retinal circulation can improve. Photoreceptor cells operating below capacity can restore functional output when the right substrates arrive consistently during the right window. Here is what you now understand that most people have not been told. The timing of these foods is not secondary advice. It is central to whether they work at all. The presence of fat with fat-soluble carotenoids is not optional. It is the absorption mechanism. The difference between wild-caught and farm salmon, between raw and alkalized cacao, between soaked goji berries and ones eaten dry alongside tea, these are the difference between a nutrient reaching your retinal tissue and one that does not. You are no longer simply waiting for an annual exam to tell you what has already changed. You are someone who understands enough of the biology to intervene upstream. And what you do starting tonight reflects that. Let me give you specific steps you can take starting tonight. First, identify 1 or 2 foods from this list you already have at home. Start with what is already in your kitchen tonight. Second, apply the fat rule immediately. Lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-carotene, none absorb adequately without fat present at the same meal. A teaspoon of olive oil, a few walnuts, a quarter avocado. This single change can meaningfully increase how much you absorb from foods you are already eating. Third, separate your eye support foods from caffeine by at least 2 hours. Coffee and tea consumed within 2 hours of goji berries, bilberries, or black currants significantly reduces anthocyanin and carotenoid absorption through tannin binding. Fourth, purchase raw cacao powder and replace your evening drink with the protocol described. If the label says processed with alkali, it is not the right product. Fifth, shift your eye support foods to 45 to 90 minutes before bed. Your retina conducts primary repair during deep sleep. Eating these foods in the morning means the nutrients are largely metabolized before the repair window opens. Sixth, switch to wild-caught salmon prepared at low heat. The astaxanthin and DHA difference compared to farmed is real and documented. And finally, have a real conversation with your doctor. Ask specifically, can we measure my macular pigment optical density today so we have a baseline to compare in 6 months? You deserve a clinician who treats you as someone actively participating in your own care. Drop a comment right now saying clear. If this gave you something concrete, if it answered a question you have been sitting with about your vision, I want to see that word below. It tells me you are ready to do something different starting tonight. Think of one specific person you care about who's been told their vision loss is just a normal part of aging. Send them this video right now, not later, right now. Subscribe to this channel, My purpose is to give you research-grounded health information that most people only discover after something has already gone wrong. You deserve to know it before that. In my next video, I will cover the 5 most common morning habits accelerating retinal aging after 60, including one that nearly every health-conscious person does daily without knowing what it does to their macular pigment. You will not want to miss that. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Vision health management must be individualized based on your complete medical history and current health status. Never adjust or discontinue any prescribed treatment without first consulting your eye care provider or physician. The information presented reflects current published research and should not replace a thorough evaluation by a qualified medical professional.